All right. So I will start recording and just want to welcome folks to our, I don't know, was it the fourth meeting of people looking at in-place impact for Charlotte?
I believe so.
Fourth meeting or so. And just want to appreciate everybody's time. And David and I were just chatting a minute before I started recording about this process and the fact that we know it's, not going to happen overnight, and we just appreciate everybody's willingness to help out since we're all volunteers right now, and there'll be some fundraising, et cetera, involved with helping this happen. We also recognize that there are a lot of initiatives going on in the small business space, in the racial justice space, in the support for economic opportunity. There are quite a few initiatives ongoing, and this is not meant to detract from any of those. It is meant to be additive. My sense is that in a city of almost 1 million people, there is room for a lot of good people initiating and trying new things. And I hope that everybody is okay with that and on board. So with that introduction, and there were a few more people who were going to join, but we'll just get started. Really, at this point, we've heard the model, we know what the requirements are, and David has been in contact with Doug Harris more than I have. So I don't know, David, do you want to give us a quick update on, and I guess Mark is friends with Doug, give us a quick update on Doug's commitment to this process, and the most important question of all, who will be the convener for the next meeting? Because I need to pass the baton. So, David.
So, I don't know whether many of you know Doug Harris, but Mark, you introduced me to Doug, and you might have a couple of comments, but Doug's the CEO of a company called Kaleidoscope, which is a diversity company based in Chicago. Doug is now based here and lives here in Charlotte. Doug's been in the business of diversity training his entire career. So when Mark, you introduced me to him, I spoke to him briefly about it and then arranged for Doug to have a one-on-one with Stuart Williams. So Doug has spent some time, at least half an hour to an hour one-on-one with Stuart, has a pretty good understanding of the program. And we've reached back out to him this week and confirmed that he is very interested in helping drive this. And I think, as Jennifer said, we're at the point now with these calls that we need to decide who is the, if you will, group that wants to step up and lead and actually plan to implement, put the program together for launching this program here in Charlotte. So our objective today is to say, who wants to be part of that leadership group, and I think that what that involves is committing to probably certainly a bi-weekly, if not a weekly call, and committing to putting together a real plan, raising funds, getting people trained, and actually a program to launch this in Charlotte. So. Mark, is there anything else you want to say about Doug's background? Because I think Doug's going to be a key player, and then I'll open it up to other, comments, questions.
Yeah, I think I would just add two things. One, Doug's style is one where he has a natural, he's a natural salesperson, which he knows how to sell ideas. He's got charisma that he brings to the table that is always important in furthering initiatives. So I think, his ability as a champion of this to be able to get people to buy into it and to be able to build followers and people that can help us really get this off the ground, I think his skill set is, second to none. The other thing I think is important is while he has been focusing his efforts over the past 25 to 30 years in building his business, his relocation to Charlotte from Chicago coincides with the focus in his life where he wants to make a big difference in the community in a big way. And as I talked to him in the past, he was interested in Charlotte because he felt that Charlotte was a city of the size where there's a lot of work to be done here, and it was an ability to be able to make a big impact. And that's kind of the next phase of his life. He's looking to kind of make that transition from business to really making a big impact in community. So I think in my mind, this comes to be the right opportunity perhaps for Doug at the right time. So I would just offer that there's the people side of who he is and his motivators in life right now. I think they come together very nicely.
Yeah, and and I will state the obvious. If you don't know Doug, Doug is black. I mean, and part of the problem is that this is a program that, you know, us white guys should not be leading. I mean, just to be frank about it. We need a diverse group to lead this program. So with that, I'm just going to open it up to individuals on the call and sort of do you have, what questions might you have, and what comments might you have about, you know, your personal ability to be involved and stay involved.
And David, remind us the training. Stuart mentioned that it would be good to have 4 to 5 people be trained on the in-place impact model, and it's a week long. Is that right? Of 40 hours? Training?
Yeah. So a little bit about the program to remind us as all. I just before the call, I sent out your email, Jennifer, to this group with a copy of that original recording, as you said. So I'd encourage you, as you're thinking about this, to go back and listen to Stuart's recording, which covers this and a number of other things. But to be specific, I think what we need is a small leadership group. But then, in addition, we need to recruit certainly 4 individuals that would become impact in place consultants. And ultimately, those individuals, it probably would take a year, but those individuals could convert that into a paid full-time role. Because part of this program is, in addition to launching a college course for impact entrepreneurs through a college like Johnson C. Smith, it's also consultants that would be paid by corporations. And as part of this program is helping corporations understand what it means to be more involved as a corporation and get certified by Stuart's program as being organizations that are focused on a profit for purpose and have a real appropriate local diversity program, and get certified. And that's so there's revenue ultimately that would come to cover the cost of these consultants. And also Stuart shared with me some of those revenue models. So in addition to the presentation, I've got 2 or 3 presentations that we could put up onto a shared drive. So for this new group to study, and then obviously we get on a call with Stuart, you can explain some of the economics and around this. But so I think, you know, just go back to the program, then it's more than entrepreneurs, it's more than college education. It is training for consultants and putting those consultants out in the community to conduct also, in addition to the college course, Stuart suggests running a weekly community course so that an evening, there's an evening course for people in the community that have interest, people that are currently running or engaged in existing charities and organizations in the community. Because I think from what I've learned, one of the most important things about In-Place Impact, it's designed and intended to be, think of it as an umbrella program. and not in any way in conflict or competing with anything. There's a lot going on in Charlotte, and I'm new to Charlotte, and I don't profess to know all that's going on, but I know there is a lot going on. And I think what's clear to me is that this is not in conflict. It is very much a program that's designed to be holistic and complementary to anything and everything that is also going on. So,
David, to that end,
questions?
to that end, and knowing that Doug is not from here, and Mark, you may be able to speak to his community roots here, but is there a need for a local established organization to be the home for this? That is you and I mentioned yesterday, Aspire Community Capital, or someplace that is focused on a similar mission that a broader mission could grow out of? Or do you think it's more effective to have a de novo organization that starts fresh?
A question to Mark?
That was a question to you. I mean, to the group here.
Yeah. Well, I'll offer the following commentary regarding Doug. Even though Doug's not from here, he's well connected across the country, and he has a team of consultants and employees who work for his firm, Kaleidoscope Group, who have roots here in Charlotte. So I think he offers, as we talk about this being something that could grow, I think I believe we have the best of both worlds. I think he's someone who has local connectivity, and he's got deep connectivity outside of Charlotte. So I think he brings both elements to the table. I'm not going to say he's as well connected as somebody else locally who has lived their whole life here. But I think his universe and his ecosystem includes those people. So I think that does help to give him an advantage. And I know there are others on the call who know Doug as well, that I would encourage you to add your comments.
Mm-hmm. Christine, I see you unmuted. Did you want to jump in?
Sure. I don't know Doug personally, but I think he has a pretty positive sort of reputation. Just looking at his bio here, he's definitely recognizable, and I've definitely have seen him before. I don't know that I've worked with him before, but the other thing I was going to say, in Charlotte, I think there is value in having the idea stem from a local organization, an organization that has roots here. But at the same time, I think that Charlotte is open to innovation. I think that Charlotte is open to having leadership represented from other areas, especially if it's good for Charlotte. Then I think it could work either way. And I was going to say that, my company Amplify, it does have a social impact mission. We are a for-profit consulting firm. And what we do is we work on, really it's a project by project basis. We're still a very young firm. So still kind of figuring out our focus areas. But for example, we've done community engagement meeting facilitation for transportation projects. We've worked on local utility projects. And so the areas that we're focused on are uniquely like in the civic space. These are public services that we are centered around. And so I think that it could, that's why I'm just sitting here sort of listening. And so I'm thinking that Amplify could be a good sort of placeholder, or I'm making a cocoon, like a place to hold, the mission of this project, and then some other things can spring out of it. And so I think that's why I was sort of brought to the table. So I'm still thinking about it a little bit about how that can look, but I just wanted to put that out there.
So just to follow up on that, Christine, this might be a program that would gel with what your company already does?
I do think so. It could, and I'm trying to listen and learn more to see what it actually is and what the day to day is. I did get a chance to listen to the last conversation that you sent over the recording, but I'm still a little fuzzy on the business model because I'm hearing about you're training consultants, and so my question is, is there a more direct model that you could draw for me to help me understand how this project reaches its goals?
I think what I might suggest is that once we decide, who this smaller group is, let's say it's yourself, a couple of others, and Doug, that we arrange for you to get on a call with Stuart himself.
Okay.
And have him, answer those kinds of questions. And as you say, go back through that presentation, then have Stuart in a small group dialogue. Yeah, I was seeing if some of the others have a comment. Go ahead, Steve.
Well, if I remember correctly, one of the things that Stuart had mentioned was that the entity is a 501c3 and not a for-profit entity. And that doesn't mean that, to get started or whatever, it couldn't be, launched out of Amplify, but it's something just to keep, as you said, you're still trying to figure it out. So
I wanted to add a quick comment. This is a ringing endorsement of Christine's work. So Christine, not only has she had experience actually working in the public sector here, but she's had a lot of experience building key relationships in the public sector and the private sector. And that private sector includes the tech community. So she's been in an incubator program. She works in a tech space, and she has a lot of those relationships. Almost everyone I know in the public space and in the startup and entrepreneur space either knows Christine, has read her work, or has heard of her. And so I think that there's a lot of power there in her Charlotte presence. And I also think that she's someone who not only has like those, has very directly relatable services that she's offering through Amplify, but at the same time, she's really started to hone in that model and really curated those offerings, and they really line up very closely with what In-Place Impact's mission is. And I think that's definitely a conversation that I'd highly recommend having, especially talking about having a strong local presence, having the relationships, and then being able to connect public to private sector and being able to execute. I think those are very strong things that she brings to the table.
Thanks, Sterling.
I would agree with my short, discussions with Christine. She's a rock star, and we're very lucky to have her here.
Thank you. Making me feel good on a Friday. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's fabulous. So with that platform of amplifying what you've done and your connections and all that, we originally thought that maybe a university would be also involved. How would that kind of work with, your group? How would that kind of fit together? Just trying to figure out who all the pieces are and where we go next.
It could be, I'm trying to think in terms of like at a university, for example, it could be set up as a fellowship, or you could have a group of fellows, right? And then they are, just to kind of get into the technical aspect of it, they could be independent contractors, and the fellows could be paid through their work. And then the work that they conduct is the research or the training that they're doing in the community, this weekly training. And so it could be set up as a fellowship, for example, and then myself, because I'm the principal at Amplify, could have that fellowship as a contract, right, with my company. And so then I would direct the work of the fellowship, and then I would go out and recruit these fellows. And then I guess you would have to tie in the university there at some point. And you're going to want to make sure that the university's mission is also being served as well, in addition to In-Place Impact. So, and I have an idea that is why I think Tarek was on the last call, because there was some thought around having JCSU sort of be that thought partner or be that institutional partner. And so it could be a fellowship at a university, maybe like a 2-year thing or a 1-year thing, so that we can kind of try it out, and then reassess at the end of that point.
And I'm just playing devil's advocate and not, but knowing what is going on at JCSU this year in terms of them not being on campus and some of the economic struggles, I was the one that said first off that JCSU was the right one and the only one in this community that made sense for this role. So let me come from that perspective, that I still believe that. But if I'm playing devil's advocate and there's going to have to be significant work done on that program, I wonder if having a placeholder with JCSU is the right idea, but maybe engaging Central Piedmont in the process as well.
I have a relationship with Central Piedmont through some of the work I've been doing with their student life just during COVID. It's actually started in March. I think, and so can you talk a little bit more about the position that JCSU might be in right now? Because I'm not familiar. Or do you mean to say because of the quarantine, all the students are working virtually? Because that's what we're all sort of dealing with at this point.
Well, I think that's true, but I think my understanding, and I haven't talked to Tarek in several weeks, was there was some concern that given all this, that staffing and non-tenured positions were being reviewed for significant furloughs. And so the economic realities there right now are more severe than they could be in some other places.
Got it.
And it's just I don't know that for sure, but I'm concerned that could be an issue. And as a result, getting them to focus on anything other than what is mission critical from yesterday might be difficult.
Sure, and of course we need to let things play out over the next several months, and see whether that's an issue or not. But Sterling, what's your interest in being a key part of this going forward?
Yeah, I started to list team members, so this is where we're getting people to sign up to keep
Right.
helping, to keep with it, to keep helping, and Dan's been quiet too, so we're going to call on you next, Dan.
I think my role, I'd love to just be a promoter and a connector. So anything I can do to support, whether it's bringing people to the table, just helping out in any way. I don't feel like I have the bandwidth to own a significant piece. I wouldn't necessarily consider myself a team member, but I'd love to be a promoter and just do whatever I can with the time I have to promote this really great initiative.
Yeah, my response is going to be really similar to that, right? I'm on the call because I want to be supportive of it. We don't have bandwidth, and this is not going to fall on kind of one of our key priorities from a Packard Place RevTech Labs perspective. But if we can get a team from the community together, happy to support it any way we can through some of the marketing muscle we have, some of the physical space muscle we have, some of the social capital muscle we have. Then that's why I want to continue to be connected. But I certainly shouldn't be counted as a kind of a core team member.
I created the board of advisors, and Sterling and Dan, you are on the board of advisors. I think they fall in that role too.
So Jennifer, I was thinking, maybe we can ask the group. So who do we think that's not able to join this call today? Who is not on the call? Do we think we should follow up with, and that might be a candidate if they had a better understanding or were able to engage with them? Anybody got any suggestions as to?
Well, I know that I know last month was, I think it was Black Philanthropy Month, and I did have a chance to talk to a few Black-led nonprofits in the area. And so again, I need to know more about the mission of this particular project in order to make those connections. But I think there are, like you mentioned, Aspire Community Capital. they are definitely very, very focused on, you know, the entrepreneurial community. So I think folks like, what is his name, Manuel?
Manuel Campbell.
Campbell and Taya, definitely folks to bring to the table. Charles Thomas with the Knight Foundation. Gotta shout out Henry Rock with City Startup Labs. And so these could be potential partners, but I'm also thinking of, has there been a funding partner identified? And is the idea to seek corporate funding partners? Is that the idea for this?
I don't think there is a specific idea yet. I mean,
Okay.
obviously there's going to be a need for some funding.
Okay. Down the road.
No progress on that.
Other folks, I mean, really, the folks that I named are kind of very, you know, sort of well known in the community, but a little bit more grassroots if you really want to get down to the folks who are doing the work in the West Side. For example, I know Alicia Brown. Her nonprofit is called For the Struggle.
Mm-hmm.
And she's an attorney, and she started her nonprofit in response to the tax increase, the recent tax revaluation, which pretty much doubled and tripled some of the property values in Charlotte's West Side. And so she created her 501(c) in order to raise money to help educate seniors who were being approached about their homes. So I think that her name is Alicia Brown. I think it's Alesha. And who else is doing awesome work? I mean, I could probably name some people who are of color. And I could probably name some white folks too. Yeah.
Well, and maybe that's part of, you know, where this goes next. In other words, we now need a call with you and Doug and a couple of other people on this call to sort of say, okay, how do we move this forward?
Sure.
Because, you know, up to now, I think, you know, Jennifer, what we've accomplished so far is simply awareness. You know, hey, here's something that we think, you know, would be of value to Charlotte. You know, who's interested? You know, and at the same time, who's got the right background, skills, credentials, this combination of passion and capability to take this forward.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
also, yeah, the timing is, you know, really critical. I mean, so many people are struggling right now, and there's a real need to get a lot of these initiatives going in Charlotte. And Christine, like you said, the grassroots. I mean, there's so many innovative, you know, people with small business ideas, and small businesses have just been hit. One other, you know, possible source is Bank of America. They have committed to racial justice through things like small business support. And, you know, they may be interested in their foundations too, et cetera. But I think that the timing is very critical, you know, in spite of all the Zooming and things that people have to do virtually. Now is really the time to get people interested and committed to this.
And David, when you talk about a fundraise right now, and you talk about the, you know, let's call it 4 to 6 individuals, if I remember Stuart's model, that's pay for one, get one. So that's $30,000 of capital to get it started. Is that the fundraise you're talking about, or is it a bigger fundraise?
That's one of the big initial nuts of, you know, investment. Yes, I think that there's going to be a need for money for just the activity of launching the program, meaning marketing, promotion. You know, I don't know. Again, those are all questions for Stuart. But the cost of getting 4 people trained is the primary initial funding that we need.
Nice music. I was just put in the chat that Henry Rock did attend a couple of these meetings, and he's just, he's got a model that works well. He's got a number of businesses he's working with, and he just said doesn't have the bandwidth. He's, wishes us well, but he doesn't have the bandwidth right now. But he's aware. And I think, one of the things, I know, Stephen, you said that, your boost pad is going to fit somewhere in this ecosystem. So awareness is really important. Where, when people are starting a business or thinking about it, where do they fit in this? Where do investors fit in this? And as long as a new in-place impact model has room in the overall environment of entrepreneurship, and the more people know about it, the better. So it's all about figuring out where its niche is and then getting it going. So is Doug willing to convene the next meeting?
I'm going to ask him at 1:30. So,
Okay. Or Christine
yeah.
might be willing. Christine might be willing.
I would be willing to do it. In terms of our bandwidth, we are just coming off of a really quick project with the city of Asheville that has potential to go longer, but really excited about this project, but it's supposed to be done by the end of this month. And so I might have capacity starting next month.
Okay.
Sure.
Hey, that sounds great. I know David's gonna have a conversation with Doug at 1, and I can lend my Zoom one more time. Oh, hey, we got Tarek with us. I can lend my Zoom one more time if that's what it takes to get it launched.
So I've got one. BoostPad has got one too that we can use. So
super. Welcome, Tarek. We're just we've had about half an hour of conversation about who's on the team and who's on the advisory group. So which place are you going to be? The team is the people who are willing to jump in and get trained and really help spread the word and get it going. So you got to unmute. We can't hear you. You're still muted.
All right, too many meetings back to back in one day. Yeah, no. So I'm definitely, will be on an advisory for now until we get through this headwind, with everything. But definitely here to support, support as much as I can. And advisory is, so I'm not sure exactly all the time commitment, but what does the time commitment look like as this move forward for both groups? Let me ask that question.
No, that's a good one, and I'll take a stab at it, and David, you can add. The advisory is going to be, I would say once things get going, maybe once a month, and if you miss a couple, that's fine. But it's really to help get the word out, to help send people to whoever the coordinator becomes. If it's Doug Harris, great. But to look for people in the community who are entrepreneurs, who are willing to help, who want to get trained, who want to be part of the environment. So the advisory is going to be aware of what's going on, but not driving the agenda, not getting trained, etc.
Okay.
The team are the ones who are going to be trained in the in-place impact model and really start to think of the structure to implement it and the financial backing to implement it as well. I mean, advisors can help, make contacts with the financial possibilities, but the team is going to be ones really making it work.
Okay.
So the team commitment for the team is going to be a lot.
Okay. Yeah. As I can't until we get out of these woods. For some, it's going to be limited time. But happy to serve advisory. The impact in place is good.
Tarek, I since you weren't here, I spoke on behalf of the knowledge from the conversations we had. But can you give us if we were looking and focused on Johnson C. Smith being the institution partner of this, what is the bandwidth there to begin that conversation for an implementation, maybe for fall of 21? Do you think that there's the possibility to start that conversation?
For fall 21?
Yeah.
That's a great question. In terms of getting out and seeing that, there's a new, we just got a new senior vice president for academic affairs who is essentially the chief in change or chief person. So, I mean, like, I think it's like once we have that conversation and like, you know, that's kind of like the world now. It's like I have a boss and I have a new boss, but has a new boss. There will be time for them to plan and time for people to be engaged. So long as there's more time, lead time to implementation, lead time to anything, that's the kind of way that we can catch that or make that happen. For fall 21, that's actually better than saying spring 21 or fall 2020, because nobody's looking anywhere outside of fall 2020, semester right now.
Right, exactly.
But fall 21, that's a good time. Good window or lead time.
And Christine, going back to your point about Charles Thomas, I think that there's a huge commitment from him and the Knight Foundation on the West Side. And so if we're strategically able to kind of show the partnership with JCSU, there's a better chance of getting the Knight Foundation involved in, as potential founder or funder as well.
True.
So, Christine, I think if you're comfortable, what I might suggest to Doug is that you and he get to know each other on a call, and then perhaps we have a smaller call with at least the two of you and Stuart and anyone else that wants to be on that call to put to really what's the meat?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, what are we really talking about here? And I will say one thing in the context of that. I mean, I think Stuart's perspective is that this is a multi-year program. So it's big in its vision, and it's big in its potential impact, which by definition means it's not something that's going to happen overnight. So the pilot program that he launched in Charleston to prove out the whole concept, I'm pretty sure that was started at least 4 years ago. So it has been successful. It's now expanded to, I think it's North Charleston. So there are now two separate sort of quote unquote Charleston communities where the program is operating. But in any event, I guess my point is that, this requires consistency and dedication, and it will take, time to give it the appropriate momentum and impact.
And what I would say to Christine and to Doug is, I am somewhat myopically focused on the boost pad, which could be a critical piece of this, both at the university level and the community level. And if that means that I can be involved at the on the inside team with that focus, great. If that's not a good idea, I'm happy to be on the advisory board, but I'll let somebody else make that decision. But my focus is specific to, what could be a leg of this.
Okay.
I think what I'm going to do is reach out to Doug and just see where he is on this. And just really, like you said, get to know the Kaleidoscope Group. Like I said, I've heard of this company before, but I have not worked with them before. So I think I would just reach out to him, just have a conversation and just see where he is on this, because I'm still sort of in listening and learning mode.
Okay.
You come very highly recommended by many, many people.
Oh, thank you. I mean, and again, it definitely sounds like a good opportunity, and a great way to position myself into this sort of leadership role, which I'm very much interested in, very, very much interested in. I just want to understand it
Sure.
totally, you
Sure,
know? And so I'm definitely going to give Doug a call and just, you know, like you said, just get to know him, and see how we could position this. But if you are in need of a facilitator for this next go round, you know, I would be more than happy to do that, because then I could pull other people to the table. Like I see D'Alva Wilson's name mentioned here, Alicia Brown, some of the folks that we mentioned. So, I mean, if you're looking for a facilitator for October, I'd be happy to do that.
Great.
I think that would be really helpful because we need someone that's got those connections as well. So
Yeah, if I had a baton, I would pass you a baton. Take the baton. And yeah, I will. I'll share the email list with you that I've been using.
Okay.
And you'll have a conversation with Doug and David. I don't think I have. You're going to be advisor as well. Is that right?
yes, yeah.
Okay.
I'm happy to be advisor. I'm naive and enthusiastic.
So we're recording it. I've got everybody's names in the chat under different roles. I put Stephen somewhere in the middle. Somewhere in the middle. So I think we have our next steps.
Yeah.
And you know, you said October. You know, it's early September. I don't know if it's 2 weeks too soon, or do you want to like wait till the beginning of October, or what's people feeling? What are people's feeling about the next meeting?
Why don't we let Christine talk to Doug and
decide.
once she feels comfortable and that she can, you know, corner him into being in the conversation, then we can figure out, you know, hopefully sooner rather than later.
Sure. Yeah, definitely sooner rather than later. But I think 2 weeks could work. I will definitely want to get on the phone with him in the next day or so. Maybe even the week of that very next week, like the 25th, or perhaps that very first week in October, I think could work for a convening, especially if there's people who are new to the concept and we're bringing them to the table for the first time. Give them a little bit of time to digest everything. But I think that sounds like a good next step is to, like Jennifer was saying, pass a baton in terms of communication and in terms of reaching out to my network. And then I will get back to you all after I get a chance to talk to Doug.
Great.
Sounds great. Any you know, I think we've got our marching orders. Anybody want to have some final comments, inspiration before we adjourn? Because I know we're all busy. So we can get the back, yeah. Go ahead. What Turt?
I said you can do it. Oh, well, mute. It's a. Don't worry about it. It's a joke. It's an old joke. Like you can do it.
You can do it. Excellent. Good.
Yeah, I'll just say this is terrific, and like I said, Christine, I'm speaking to Doug at 1:30, so I'll share with him the conversation we've had, and I'll also send you, Christine, an email with his assistant's name, Amy. So Amy Plants tends to manage Doug's calendar, but I'll talk to Doug about that as well.
That would be great.
Yeah.
If you could do that, that's awesome. That's perfect timing, and just let him know that I'm planning to call him or I'm trying to get on his calendar. So that would be perfect. And if you want to do a quick email intro.
Sure. Yeah.
I think that would facilitate it just so smooth. So thank you.
Yeah. I will do that.
Great.
Woo-hoo.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm glad to see the excitement in the chat.
Thank you, everyone.
points.
Yeah, this is a really good I think kickoff to the long weekend. I was telling you guys about the work that we're fortunate enough to do in Asheville. You know, the city of Asheville is going through what a lot of cities are going through right now in terms of facing police brutality and facing calls from the public to do something. And so the city manager of Asheville, former assistant city manager from
Deborah.
Charlotte, yeah, Deborah Campbell. So she actually has passed a 3-month budget. So they only have a 3-month operating budget for the city of Asheville. And so she's going out to the community and saying, look, we're not going to defund by 50%, but we will reinvest and we will reallocate some of the money from public safety. And so Amplify, along with another firm, was hired to facilitate the community meetings to figure out where to put the money, where to take the money from and where to put the money based off of the community's desires and needs and basically their feedback. So it's just been fun. We had our first meeting last night, the first virtual one, and then next week we're going to be on the ground in Asheville. And that's why I keep saying October.
Okay. Right.
Because it's like we have a little bit of work that we are wrapping up, and I know that it might take a little bit of time to really wrap it up. And so I want to give my full attention to In Place Impact, and that's why I'm thinking end of September, early October.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's great work you're doing in Asheville. I know they also voted to examine the idea of reparations, and yeah.
Right.
They're doing tremendous work. So good for you. And tell Deborah I said hello.
I certainly will. Yeah, I will.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good stuff. Good stuff for a Friday. Good positive. We need some positive news these days.
Absolutely.
All right. Any final comments, David?
No, this is great. Delighted. I'll get that email out.
All right. Super. Thank you all for your continued involvement and support. And Christine will be in touch.
Yes, I'll be in touch. All right. Thanks, guys.
I'll send the copy of the recording to everybody as well.
All right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Thank you. Have a good
Bye,
one.
everyone.